Let's take a look at circles. First thing we'll take a look at is the standard form. Now, standard form of a circle allows us to see some items fairly easily. Standard form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Now, h, k, and r are typically numbers. Can be fractions, but they're numbers. If you have it in that form, then your center of your circle is hk, and your radius is r. Some of these problems will give us a problem in standard form and ask us to identify center and radius. Some will give us center and radius, ask us to put it in standard form, and then some will ask us to write it from our general form to our standard form. So let's look at our first problem here. We got our center is -2, -4, and our radius is equal to square root of 3. And the instructions say write the standard form of the equation of the circle with the given center and radius. Well, if they're giving us the center, they're giving us h and k. So h is -2 and k is -4. Obviously, r is equal to square root of 3. So we're just going to plug those into our formula. So we've got x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And h we said was -2, so we're going to have x minus -2 squared plus y minus k, which is -4 squared, equals r, which is square root of 3 squared. And you do a little bit of simplifying, not much. Negative becomes a positive. So we got x plus 2 squared. And here negative becomes positive, so we got y plus 4 squared. And remember, when you square a square root, the index of a square root is 2. When the index matches the power you're raising it to, they cancel each other. So that's going to give us 3. And that's our answer. Let's take a look at this one. We got x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. Now, this is already in standard form. Standard form says you either have x plus number or x minus number. It doesn't have to specifically be a minus here. And this says you're going to have y plus number, y minus a number. And again, this does not specifically have to be a minus here. And then you have some number over here. Well, the h is whatever goes with our x. So this is going to give us our h, and it's always opposite sign. So h is going to be -2. Now this is going to be our k, and it's always opposite sign. So k is going to equal to a positive 3. Now this is going to give us our r, and we're going to take the square root of it. So r is equal to square root of 16, or r is equal to 4. Why is it opposite sign? Whenever you have a minus in your formula, like you see right here, then it's always opposite sign. Always flip signs. That's what a minus does. Okay, now first thing, they want us to give the center and then the radius. Okay, so our center from our formula is hk. Well, h is -2 and k is 3. And radius is r, which is 4. So that'd give us our center and our radius. It then says to graph it. So let's take a look at that. To graph this, first I'm going to go to my center. So I got -2, 3, which is right there. And our radius is 4, which means we'll go at a distance of 4 either up, down, left, or right. It doesn't matter which way. I'm going to go down 4 units. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be the outer edge of our circle. So I'm going to go equal distance as well as I can gauge around the center. And that's going to be our circle. By definition, that's what a radius is. It defines what this distance is from the center to the outer edge. Let's take a look at our next problem. We got x squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 1. Now we'd like these to either be x plus a number or x minus a number. And we just got an x squared here. Well, you think of some kind of number you can put there such that you don't change its original value. And we can put a 0 there, because x minus 0 is x, and x's second power gives you your x squared. So we've rewritten it, but we haven't actually changed its value. Now this is standard form, and remember this is going to be our h, and it's going to be opposite sign, but 0 doesn't actually have a sign, so it's just 0. This is going to be our k, and it's going to be opposite sign. So I didn't write that real well. Let me try it again. K is going to equal to a negative 4. And this is going to give us our r. And remember, we take the square root of that. So square root of 1. So we get r is equal to 1. Okay, so our center is hk, which is 0, negative 4. And our radius is r, which is 1. Okay, so let's think they want us to graph it. Let's see, and graph it. 0, negative 4. Right there. And we want to go to distance of 1. And you can either go up, down, left, right. And I'll go up, it's easiest, right here. And then I'll go equal distance all the way around. And that'd be our answer. Yeah, I might have room for the next one. Now here we're given it in general form. We want to rewrite it in standard form. General form, just you got your x squared and y squared, and then you got your x and your y, then you got your number, and then equals 0. So let's take a look at the instructions there. That's my shopping list for my wife. Okay, so let's see. Circles, general form to standard form. Okay, step 1. Step 1 is to divide everything by the number in front of the x squared. And we put that in x squared form. There we go. Step 2, group the x's, group the y's, and take the number, the constant term, to the right side. Step 3, complete the square on the x's and complete the square on the y's. And actually, once you finish with that, then it's in the right form. So let's take a look at a problem. So we got x squared plus y squared minus 8x minus 16y plus 76 equal to 0. We'll find we won't have to do all these steps. First step says divide everything by the number in front of the x squared. We don't have any numbers in front of our x squared, so we don't have to do that step. Step 2. Group the x's, group the y's, and take the number of the right side. So group the x's. What do I mean by that? Well, we got x squared minus 8x. We put those together. And we got y squared minus 16y. So we put those together. And take our number, our constant term, to the right side. So take 76 to the right side and becomes a negative 76. So again, we group the x's together. We group the y's together. Step 3. Complete the square on the x's, complete the square on the y's. So let's look at the x's first. Remember, with completing the square, we take the number that's before our x, which is negative 8. We multiply it times a half and we square it. It's always times a half, it's always squared. Negative 8 times a half is negative 4, and negative 4 squared gives us 16. And then we'd add that to both sides. So we got x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals negative 76 plus 16. Now notice where I've grouped it at. I put it with the x's, didn't I? Okay, now let's complete the square on the y's. We're going to take the number that's before our y, which is negative 16. You multiply it times a half and you square it. Negative 16 times a half is negative 8. And negative 8 squared gives us 64. And then we're going to add that to both sides. So we got y squared minus 16y plus 64. And then I'll put a plus 64 over here. Again, notice I put the 64 with the y's on this side. So we got x squared minus 8x plus 16 plus y squared minus 16y plus 64 equals, and let's see, what's this give us? It gives us negative 4, negative 60, yeah, 4. Okay, the next part of completing a square is to factor these. So I got my x's here, got my y's, so I want to factor the x's. Well, this factors as x minus 4 squared. This one factors as y minus 8 squared equals 4. How do I get that? If you remember the trick to this, whatever number is right over here, right before you square it, sign included. It's like in the x's, we got negative 4. That's what goes right here. For our y's, whatever's right here, right before you square it, sign included, the negative 8 is what goes right here. So there really is no factoring involved in that. Well, now it's in standard form, which is what we're trying to achieve. And let's identify our h and k. Now this is going to be our h. Remember, it's opposite signs. So this is negative 4, so h will be 4. Now this will be k, and its opposite signs. That's negative 8, so k will be 8. And this is going to be our r. And remember, we take square root of whatever number's there. So square root of 4 is going to give us 2. Well, our center is hk, which will be 4, 8. And our radius is r, which is 2. And I think they want us to graph those. Let's see. And graph it. Okay, so 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4, 8 will be right here. And we got a distance of 2. You either go up, down, left, right. Doesn't matter which way. I'll go down. That's probably the easiest. And then I go equal distance around there. And that would be our circle. Let me save this. Comes up. Okay, so this is circles. Let's see, CA with our circles, page 1.pdf. And let's start a new page. There we go. Let's take a look at this last problem. We got x squared plus y squared plus 7x plus 9y plus 49 over 4 equal to 0. Again, we need to put this in the standard form, so let's go through our steps. Now, I don't have an example of this using the first step, but it does exist if you do run across those problems. Like if I had a 5 before the x squared, I'd have to divide everything by 5. By the way, if you have a 5 before the x squared, you will automatically have a 5 before the y squared. If you don't, it's not a circle. Okay, so we'll go down to step 2. Group the x's, group the y's, take the number to the right side. So we got x squared plus 7x plus y squared plus 9y equals negative 49 over 4. And again, I notice I put the x's together, I put the y's together, and I took the number to the right side, and it switched signs. Step 3. Complete the square in the x's. Let's do that first. So for x's, we're going to take the numbers before our x, which is 7, multiply times a half and squared. So again, whatever number's in front of your x, it's always times a half, it's always squared. Do not change these to decimals. 7 times a half is 7 halves, and 7 halves squared gives us 49 over 4. And we want to add that to both sides. So I got x squared plus 7x plus 49 over 4. And I'll add it over here too. So I got negative 49 over 4 plus 49 over 4. And let's also complete the square in the y's. We're going to take the numbers for our y, which is 9, multiply times a half and squared. It's always times a half, it's always squared. 9 times a half is 9 halves, and 9 halves squared gives us 81 over 4. And we want to add that to both sides. So I got y squared plus 9y plus 81 over 4. Then I'll put a plus 81 over 4 here. Now notice I've kept the x's together, I've kept the y's together, and of course your numbers are on the other side. Now I know I'm going to factor these anyway, so I might as well go ahead and do it here. This factors as x plus 7 halves squared, and this one factors as y plus 9 halves squared. And negative 49 over 4 plus 49 over 4 cancels, so that leaves us 81 over 4. Now, remember our trick to this. Whatever number's right here, right for you squared, sign included, is what goes right here. That's why I got a plus 7 halves there. Whatever number's right here, right for you squared, sign included, which is a positive 9 half, is what goes right here. So there really is no factoring at that point. Well, now it's in standard form, so let's identify our h and k. Now the h is what goes with your x, and it's opposite sign, so it'll be a negative 7 halves. Your k is what goes with your y, and it'll be opposite sign, so it'll be a negative 9 halves. And this is going to be our r, and we'll take square root of whatever's there. So we'll take square root of 81 over 4. Now 9 times 9 gives you 81, and 2 times 2 gives you 4, so r is going to equal to 9 halves. Okay, so our center. Our center is hk, and h is negative 7 halves, and k is negative 9 halves. Now, I'm going to change these to decimal. I'm doing that for graphing purposes, not for actually writing my answer down. And maybe decimal isn't appropriate. Maybe mixed number might be more appropriate. Either way, you get the same idea. So this will be negative 3.5. And that negative 9 halves will be negative 4.5. If you did negative 3.5 and negative 4.5, that's fine too. Now our radius. Our radius is r, which we just said was 9 halves. Or, that's 4.5. Or you could think 4.5. Either way. Graphing negative 7 halves and negative 9 halves is kind of a challenge. This makes it a little bit easier. So those are our first parts to our answer. So negative 3 halves and negative 4 halves. So negative 3 halves and negative 4 halves. So negative 3 halves, 2, 3, 4, negative 4 halves. Miser. Let's say about right there. Okay, so our radius is 4.5. So we're going to go to distance 4.5. So I'm going to go up. So there's a half. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll be right here. So then I go equal distance around. And that gives us our graph. And I think that's the last problem. Yes, it is. And that's circles.